Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. This is our Twitch recap from last week's live show. I'm very, many apologies for so late getting this one out to you on YouTube. It's been kind of a crazy week. I actually wrapped up Extra Life 2019 just a few hours ago, so expect a lot of recap footage from the absolutely fantastic Extra Life 2019 24-hour live show to come to the channel here in the upcoming days. But we are going to return our SKS Heavy from orbit today as our first activity from last week's live stream. And so we're just waiting for the terms of the contract to complete so that we make sure that our crew has spent their designated length in orbit doing some sort of sciencey something or others, so make our investors happy. And then also we're going to wait around for a little while to get our orbit lined up, so hopefully we can make a pass over Cape Canaveral. Always trying still to put this thing down on a runway, although we haven't quite figured out the appropriate glide slope. We did have some nice revelations during the 24-hour live stream while playing this save file a little later on. So one little spoiler I'll let you in on is that using physics warp during reentry actually changes I guess the drag model, or it's computed differently, resulting in falling much shorter than what was determined in testing. So we will see different results if we use physics warp during the atmospheric portion of our descent than if we didn't, which is a really interesting revelation to come across. But I guess we'll get to that in coming episodes. So I think we've got our orbit pretty well nicely lined up to hopefully bring us down someplace over Florida, or at least over land. That would be the main goal. So we'll light up our OMS engines and then start to make a little bit of corrections just to bring our periapsis down, just to make sure we don't skip or bounce or anything like that as we get set up to deorbit this SKS Heavy and make what is bound to be a nighttime approach across Cape Canaveral. With a quick view of the map, it does not look like we're anywhere near where I thought we should have been, all things considered. But I think we're still on course to make this a somewhat successful run. So we'll change our camera view, we'll pitch our nose up, we'll get atmospheric autopilot queued up and ready. And yeah, since we're coming in from a much lower orbit, we actually hit Atmo a whole lot sooner than, well, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense that if you come in from a lower orbit, you'll hit the atmosphere sooner. I just am very easily distracted and have a hard time remembering such things. So we're going to dump off our excess fuel and then pump the ballast to the aft of the spacecraft. That'll help keep our nose angled up so that we can generate some drag and maybe some lift, and see if we can't just prolong our descent through the atmosphere as we can watch the sunset behind us. This game, sometimes it just makes you take a step back or two. It really is beautiful sometimes. But now in the pitch blackness of nighttime, as we are wondering if we're even going to make landfall. I think Florida has already been written out of the equation. Right now, dirt would be our preferred landing space. Not a very good track record as far as ditching in the ocean, as far as the entire space program is concerned, but yeah, I would like to avoid that at almost any cost. So we'll dip the nose down just a little bit, see if we can't prolong our glide just a little while longer. We still have a whole lot of ocean to cross if we're going to have any chance of actually getting this little guy onto something a little more dense. There go our ablative nose thruster ports. That's perfectly normal. They burn off every time despite being behind a reentry rated shield. It's just weird the way KSP calculates saturatable heat and does these weird things like this. But I mean, really, if only if every entry only cost us 2 thruster ports, and the EFT and boosters were still coming out way ahead on these 3 Kerbal to low Earth orbit contracts, it's really the only thing funding our space program right now. So this drive to rebuild Tremonia Station around the moon and doing it out of the back of the shuttle is it is a jobs program. Let's just be real, which is why we're not too sad about having lost a module, because we will still complete the contract and get paid. Because, well, the contract mission is to put 3 Kerbals in orbit. We're just taking the money and using it to build a space station. You know, it's investing for the future of our company and our workers and to further explore the moon. We got a couple of biomes up there that we actually have not hit yet. So why not use this money-making opportunity to fund our endeavors in scientific research? So we are actually over land. I think we've just crossed the Gulf of California and on into Mexico, and our speed is such that it is way time to start looking for a place to land. So we'll adjust the roll authority on some of our control surfaces, and then start hoping we can find something that's at least painted to look like a runway to set us down on. Anyway, I'm going to turn you back over to old me live during the broadcast. Alright, let's get down lower and try to figure out why our controls are being so incredibly sluggish. Why aren't you articulating with roll at all? There we go. There's a... Why is it fighting me on roll? Y'all's got some authority. Nose down, dude. What are you... Alright, you know what? Master switch disengaged. SAS is on. Whoa. Why are you trying to nose down all the time? Or nose up? There should be nothing in this rear tank, right? Yeah, nothing in this rear tank. There should be nothing left up here, too. Okay. This is interesting. That's a lot of you want to stick your butt in the air. But we don't want you to do that, so... Master switch re-engaged. Craft settings. Moderate AOA, please. Moderate side slip. Turn craft settings off. Alright, let's land this bird, please. You're just going too slow. 258 meters per second at 30,000 feet ish. Alright, let's just hope there's a runway amidst all of these pretty twinkling lights over here on the horizon and hope for the best. I wouldn't trust stock SAS. I typically don't. I mean, I guess Greek cities are an okay naming scheme. I would agree. Alright, anybody see a runway? Something that resembles a runway? Large flat patch of grass? Perhaps some local eateries we could smash through? Don't think there's a qualifying runway there. And not there either. Dang it. Maybe we'll try to make a turn here and see what we can suss out. We got a good amount of speed. Be right back, don't die. I'll, tried my darndest. No promises. Just hit some houses. Sure. I mean, not that I'm beyond that, but that looks like a nice big road. I don't know if it's a runway or not, but that is what we're going to aim for. Well, we still can. Starting to lose some of this very, very precious speed. Mexico, certainly. If anybody could tell where exactly in Mexico by that very brief view of the map, 1, kudos, and 2, please let the rest of us know. Air pressure at 15 kilometers is only 0.11 atmospheres. Fair. Unless anybody sees a better road we can land on. Welcome back, Lucy. No one has died yet. Yet being the operative term here. God, I wish there was a runway like right here. We're just gonna aim for a big, long, dumb road. Wave crashing noises. Does look like it's a little hilly, and you know, the lava patches. Land on a bowling alley lane. 10 seconds to disaster. Perhaps. Alright, we're gonna come in and go ahead and try to get this lined up. I hope this road is continuous. Let's get the landing gear down and locked. Alright, deployment there looks good. 162 meters per second. Ground coming up to meet us. 90 meters. Let's hope we can just clear this hill. Is this even a road? Or is this just like an irrigation trench? Why won't you pull up? Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Thank you. More speed to shed. Now let's land on the downhill. Whoa, buddy. Come on now. There it is. Ground falling away from us pretty steadily, but we are still on descent, so we can try to flare as we careen away from the road. Too many things to manage. 132 meters per second, coming up on stallish speeds. Nice and slow. Easy does it. 1.7 sync rate. This should be glorious. Brakes, 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 brakes. Shoots out. Yes. Hooah. Okay. And with the air brakes out, chutes deployed, we'll finally come to a full and complete stop and be able to recover the orbiter and her crew and get them ready for the next mission. In the meantime, we will be jumping out here to the Origami 4T, which is going to be making its very first flyby of Titan. And the plan is to actually cut through the very top layers of the atmosphere and scrape a little science there and maybe use that free atmospheric braking power to help assist us in bringing down this orbit and getting something that's a little more reasonable for a Titan capture. Hopefully using not all that much fuel, although we've still got something like 3 kilometers per second of Delta V left in our main fuel tank. Although we would like to use some of that to put the glider on an intercept for capture or for deorbit at Titan so that it can do its job. But then we would like to return the mothership, the parent craft or the network relay, whatever you want to call it, up to a higher orbit so that it can act as a comms relay, both for the glider and anything else coming through really, and continue to monitor Titan for anything interesting or scientific that might catch our glance. So our current periapsis at Titan is way too low. 370 some odd kilometers is well within Titan's very high atmosphere, which has a peak of about 600 kilometers, which is absolutely massive. And it's certainly enough to do some serious damage to a spacecraft that entirely lacks a heat shield. So on our way in, we're going to make a little correction to bring our periapsis up to about 500,000 kilometers. Like I said, we still want to scrape through that very top layer of atmosphere and see if we can't pick up some data there. We've only had one other mission come through Titan's atmosphere. You can see it in orbit now. That was the Tartarus Kronos, our Titan lander and orbiter. The lander should still be on the surface doing not much, really. The orbiter's still there in a nice, safe polar orbit, acting as a very good comms relay and even helping out with this mission a little bit. So we're going to set up our flight computer just by placing some dummy nodes, getting some times figured out while we plot in some numbers for our transmit science and radio in commands while we make our approach. And with all of that locked in, we can watch Titan slowly approach us from around Saturn's waist there, just in between the comms array and the signals intelligence dish, which is proven to be a pretty useless chunk of dead weight. And as we cross into the SOI, we'll get our first batch of radio in, which does net us some pretty good science rewards. I mean, every little bit helps. We've only got like 2, maybe 3 nodes left in the tech tree to start researching. Of course, our research queue is very, very long. It'll probably take us the better part of 30 years or so to complete before all the nodes are unlocked and available to us. But we will technically be at tech tree completion, which also means that we can use some strategies to divert our science points into money or reputation, just to help keep the program running. But of course, obviously, scientific exploration will always remain one of our top tier goals. With our first batch of radio incomplete, we can start warping in and get things ready for our Titan atmospheric encounter, all of which had us very much biting our fingernails, as we weren't quite sure at what atmospheric level and at what speeds bad things would start to happen to things that lack a heat shield. Our first radio in of low space Titan science will go pretty well, netting us another couple of hundred science as we continue to make our approach. But for the actual flyby encounter, I think I will turn you over to Old Me live during the broadcast.
All right. Oh, good golly, please. Thunk. There is Atmo. Let's open up the... Nope. Nope, we're not even going to try to fight this. Oh, that is some Atmo doing things. Let's bring the comms dish up and in. Oh my. Biological sample from Titan's upper atmosphere. We'll reset that one for now. Reset. Yes, 102 science, and we have active comms. This is awesome. I could not ask for a better please don't explode situation. Only 37 more kilometers to fall, so I think we're in good shape. I say we're not bleeding that much speed. Mucho thick, such wow. Headed towards periapsis and decelerating. But not by much is what's surprising to me. Although I imagine this thing it should create a lot of drag. I'm wondering how much of an effect it's having on our... Ooh. Hello. Uh-oh. No, please. I guess if that big stupid dish burns off, fine. If this dish burns off, we have problems. Okay, that wasn't that dish that burned off. What was it then? Oh, we lost one of our deployed comms. That's not a big deal at all. And our big stupid dish. Titan's Atmo, good hands. I think we're doing alright. We're going to be on our way back up soon, and no further warnings. As long as this dish stays intact, we should be good. Only very small ablative science experiments. Famous last words, Crash. I know. We're still slowing down. But again, not by much. Atmo pressure. Is that telemetry analysis? Yeah, we'll take that one. Pressure scan. Temp scan. Temperature over Titan's highlands. I wasn't even paying attention to biome. I really should. Biological sample, no. Transmit. Atmosphere analysis. 408 science. Oh, radio that glorious, glorious science in. There's a reason real Cassini never went below 800 kilometers. Yeah, I see that now. What else has been to Titan so far? In this save, we've had exactly one lander go to Titan, and there's an orbiter that is still in orbit, which might be why we have comms. Oh, much pay dirt. Another telemetry analysis? Are we sure this isn't a duplicate? Oh, yeah, Titan's shores, and now Titan's midlands. So, come on, keep the spamming. Still atmospheric. Still slowing down. Tartarus Kronos, exactly. In KSP, everything is ablative. It's funny because it's true. I don't want to fold the wings out. I'm terrified they're going to snap off. Two minutes to our next radio in. How's our telemetry looking? Oh, yes. Much, much better. And our periapsis is rising. Our apoapsis is falling. This is a good day. Yeah, too soon for that. Okay, I'll keep my mouth shut for another, 5 kilometers.
Despite an awkward spin, we would in fact clear the atmosphere successfully and be generally very pleased with ourselves, as this flyby went pretty well, all things considered. We netted some free Delta V due to unplanned severe weight loss during our encounter, but like I said, I think that radio signals intelligence dish was kind of useless. I think it was just designed to be used in just low Earth orbit and no place else, and wasn't really doing any good for us. So maybe burning it off will be alright, although it may have thrown the ship's balance off by a bit. I think our gimbal will be enough to deal with it, and maybe we're light enough on fuel now to where it won't really matter. So I think all these other things we're going to wait until we're actually inserted into orbit to start worrying about whether or not they are effective. So after leaving Titan's SOI, we would start to plot out some nodes to set up our next encounter, which is something like 200 some odd days, if I remember correctly, and I'm probably not. But we have nodes on the books to make another flyby, which will again bring down our orbit by a whole lot, and I think then we're actually going to start making acceleration passes to try to bring up our periapsis to somewhere closer to Titan's orbit, and then maybe a pass or two more, and we can probably just go for broke and burn for orbital insertion. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one, which is going to be a series of Extra Life 2019 live stream recaps, which we did have an excellent time, and the vast majority of things went really, really well. So I look forward to seeing you all there. So until then, see you later.